Hello everyone, welcome back to The Real Starfighter, and today we will be celebrating over 100 subscribers with the T-65B X-Wing Pilot tier list. I am super excited to be doing this tier list. This is one of my favorite ships in X-Wing Miniatures, my favorite Rebel ship, and these are some of my favorite pilots in all of the game. So let's go ahead and just review the tiers real quick. Tier 4, absolutely unplayable, just leave it at home. Tier 3 means it's got niche plays, it's a good filler, but very, very specific niche plays that you don't want to rely on. Tier 2, you're looking at pilots who have good niche plays that you can proc maybe once every 2 to 3 turns. Good support ships, maybe not something you want to center around, but good for supporting and, having a solid ability to help your list out. Tier 1, these are your solid pilots. You want to build around them. They have very, very few bad matchups or very, very few things that negate their ability, but very powerful. You want to build around them. And Tier 0, as always, is just an absolute game changer. So let's go ahead and get started with the list. Let's go ahead and start here with the Blue Squadron Escort. Tier 3, just a stat line ship. These ships that just have the, normal slots, no ability, and is a lower initiative. I just call them the stat line ship. It's just, this is what the T-65B X-Wing is. That's all the Blue Squadron Escort is that this is the T-65B X-Wing in its normal form. That is all. Next up, we have the Cavern Angel Zealot. Cavern Angel Zealot, a little higher up because of the lower initiative. It makes it a great blocker, great bumper. And also with the illicit slot, you're able to put feedback array or dead man switch, something that will help you if the ship dies, or something that's a little, like a little end piece niche of play to spread some damage around to your opponent. So Cavern Angel Zealot, very good at that. Just being a bumper and being just a really one-trick pony niche play that can totally change the tide of your game. So I love it here in Tier 3, put it above the Blue Squadron Escort. Representing the Red Squadron veteran will be John D. Brandon here. He was one of the pilots you see in the Battle of the Death Star. That is one of the few that are not in the game. So just want to show him some love by putting him into the tier list here. Top end, because of the EPT Heroic and a lot of the other EPTs that can be taken with John D. Brandon, definitely think he belongs there. Definitely think that, good for, a higher end gun that can punch through, can be a semi-quasi-ace in swarm matchups. But again, if you take the Red Squadron veteran, you are taking an EPT. If you are not taking EPT and just putting him in there for the I3, that's fine as well. But again, I'd rather go with the 2 Escort or go with the 1 Zealot that has a little bit more combo potential. But again, there's so much potential here at the I3 with the EPTs that are cheap, like Marksmanship and Heroic, that I think that the Red Squadron veteran deserves some top-end love at 3. Moving on to some named pilots, we're going to go over here with Edrio Two Tubes, the Tube brother. He's on the bottom end of 2 for me because of his ability is if he has a focus, then he can do an action. But in order to get that focus to do that action, you need to have Benthic, which is another 40-plus point ship in the list. So you're spending 80 points to get a combo off that may or may not go off because of the order of how things operate. You may get it off, you may not. Another ship just come in and arc dodge you completely. So again, I don't think I want to spend 80 points for a combo that is inconsistent and requires 2 low initiative pilots to just always force it to get off. It's just, not something I want to spend doing. I don't want to spend 80 points on that. I'd rather spend 80 points on a Falcon or other bigger ships. So low end Tier 2, nice ability, sounds great on paper, just not great in practice. Moving on with the other guerrilla fighters from Saw Gerrera's Renegades, we're going to go with Levin Tenzia. Levin Tenzia is really cool for slash and dash attacks, coming in hot, hitting them with 3 to 4 dice, and then as you run away, if they try to turn around, you do that barrel roll, you do that boost, and then you gain that red, then you do that red evade action. That's great for when you're, again, coming in and around, but you're basically just doing damage once every, say 3 turns. Not something you really want to do. You want to make sure you're always pushing for game, but great defense for keeping your ship on the board. So you basically have an offensive turn and then 3 defensive turns, and then you come in for another offensive turn again. So Levin Tenzia is great for just going in, punching hard, coming out, turning around, and punching hard again, just repeating. Next up, we have Colby Sparrow. Now, Colby Sparrow, I love his ability. If there was like a honorable mention ability, it would be Colby Sparrow, because Colby's ability is after they perform a boost or barrel roll action, they can flip the servo motor X-Wing card. Excellent card. That excellent ability. I just, you don't see it too much because you're forcing yourself to do those barrel rolls and boosts. And I know at least the way I fly, I try to always go for my best positioning so I don't have to boost or barrel roll. And so when I'm forcing myself to boost or barrel roll to get, that 3 dice shot, now I am like, oh, I have great positioning. I'm going to get this great shot. And then you're like, well, if I barrel roll, then I'll get my 4 dice attack, but then I lose myself here. Or do I just settle for the 3 dice attack and maybe get hit? It's just a lot of variables. It's basically like, it handicaps its way in a sense that you're always getting a 3 dice attack for sure, but you want those 4 dice, so you almost kind of sell yourself out for it, or you push a bad position, or you just have to just go, well, I made a mistake and I overplanned this, and now I have to sit here and do that. I think that maybe Colby will be really good with road, with the road mechanic. I'll talk more about road and my likes and dislikes with it in other videos, but Colby Sparrow, definitely love the ability. At Initiative 4, really great. It's just, you got to plan out what you're going to do, and you might be in a position where you can't use his ability, and you're just going to have to stick with your range 1 3 dice attack with the S-foils closed. Next up, we're going to go with Thane Kyrell. Now, Thane, he does feel tier 1 to me after turn 3 or 4 of damages, or turn 2 or 3 of damages. The thing that makes him tier 1, he's lower end tier 1, is because he can set it up himself. At Initiative 5, he can go in, barrel roll, throw some dice in there, turn in behind the enemy, and then now can use his ability to always push damage by, spending a die to flip a damage card. And if that damage card is double damage, that's a pain in the butt for them to deal with. Or having to deal with something like Disable Power Regulator. Well, okay, now you have to take this Ion token, have fun, and now Thane just gets to sit behind there and just keep doing that over and over again, or finding a way to just repeat damages. He gets very annoying and very powerful just by bringing up those crits so much. So Thane, super powerful, can set up himself. It's just, he's good right after there's a damage card on the board. So does he need some setup? Yes, but the ability feels tier 1 all around. So I would go with it as tier 1. Next up, we're going with the named pilots in the game from the Battle of the Death Star, the MVPs of Star Wars to me. We'll start off here with Jack Perkins. Jack Perkins, he's going to be towards the lower end of tier 2. I love his ability to remove the stress token, but the cost of rolling a die, and then if it's a hit, you take a damage. I don't like that too much, because then my opponent kind of goes after that higher end pilot that I have, and then takes him out easily. Yes, he got his token and everything, but if I liked hurting my characters, my pilots, and myself to get bonuses, I would just play Scum, and I don't do that. I play Rebels, so I want Rebel-like abilities and dogfighting-like abilities. Perkins is great for the action economy, removing stress and everything, but at the risk of taking damage and helping my opponent win the game by me damaging myself, not super a big fan of that. So Jack Perkins, lower end of tier 2, but above the Tube Brother. Next up, we have Biggs Darklighter, and Biggs Darklighter is going to be on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. Higher end tier 2. Biggs Darklighter, range 0 to 1, you can absorb some damage from your friendly ship that's trying to take some. So, your opponent rolls out 3 dice and has 2 hits in a crit, you can absorb one of those damages. And that's really good because it's mitigating the damage, spreading it around, making sure your opponent can't eliminate ships off the board. So Biggs is great for that. It's just 0 to 1, and if in the end game somehow Biggs is the last ship on the board, he's just a very expensive Red Squadron veteran. So I don't think he's a great end game ship. He most likely won't see the end game, but great early game, but not great end game. So Biggs Darklighter, higher end tier 2 because of his value in early rounds. Next up, we have Gavin Drace. Garvin, Red Leader, lower end tier 1. Reason why I say tier 1 is because his ability is super powerful. Spend a focus and pass it to a friendly up to range 3. Now, I know that sounds kind of like Biggs's, but where Biggs is up to 1, Garvin's up to 3. That's a huge difference when it comes to the game. You know, passing it to someone like Hera or Essage, or just a ship that just needs a focus token desperately after he's spent it and used its value is really good. I think he has the best leader ability. He is a support ship that can prove to be very offensive because you're going to probably spend a majority of your focuses on attack. But the other thing that makes him so powerful is there's so many other ships that support him that make him more powerful. So he can end up with 2 focus tokens in a turn. You know, things like Jake, things like Hera. Again, there are tons and tons and tons of things that make Garvin great. And Garvin's just great on his own. Now, is he a great endgame ship? No, because if he doesn't have anyone to pass the tokens to, then kind of what good is he? And that's where he ends up feeling tier 2. But for a majority of the game, this is again, for the majority of the game, he feels tier 1. As soon as he loses all of his wingman, there's no one to pass to, he goes down to tier 2. Now we're going to go to the face of the franchise. Luke Skywalker himself, the face of Star Wars, tier 0. There's no real debate with that. Reason why I say he's tier 0, it's simple. He gets 2 force charges and he's spending 5 a turn. He gets 2 at the beginning. You're probably spending both of them on offense or one of them. And then as you get shot at over the course of the game, you're like, all right, give me back a force token, spend it to defend. Give me back another force token, spend it to defend. Every time someone says, I'm shooting at Luke, you get a force token and then you can use it immediately to defend yourself. That is super powerful. That you start off a round with 2, and you're spending 5 or 6 or more even defending yourself, and you're only taking 1 damage after all of that. Luke Skywalker is very powerful. Very powerful. I'm glad that he's, has an ability and is now a king of the hill of the game, because in 1.0 he just was not. It was really hard to get his ability off, and I'm just glad to see him be really powerful again. Now, the last one, my favorite one, the one we've all been waiting for, Wedge Antilles, top end tier 0. Now, again, this list is my opinion, and my opinion is simple. I love Wedge. Wedge is my favorite pilot. I love Wedge. I think he's great. But also, he is really great in the game, and I will defend it by this. I've always said, in X-Wing, any pilot, upgrade card, or anything that says change the number of dice you roll in favor of the card that's causing it is going to be incredible. Wedge says, reduce your opponent's agility by 1 to a minimum of 0. You can roll up on any ship with 1 agility and punch 4 dice into them. Uncontested. Wedge is incredible. Coupling it with outmaneuver is disgusting. Being able to decrease agility by 2 for being out of arc. So now you're being rewarded for great flying and great positioning. Wedge Antilles, in my opinion, in terms of offense, breaks the game. He's not a great defensive ship. He's not. The X-Wing is great. The X-Wing is great at defense for taking some hits. You might want to put some defensive things on there like elusive. I usually put elusive on Wedge just because it helps out just that much. But Wedge punching through, taking out huge amounts of ships, pilots, everything, and just setting up plays, being the executioner on plays. He's just a multi-role ship that you always want. And if I'm ever starting a Rebel list, I always start with these 2. I start with Wedge and I start with Luke. I start with those 2 pilots all the time because those are usually the 2 most powerful and the ones that people hate seeing go up against them. So there you have it, everyone. That is the T65B X-Wing pilot tier list for getting over 100 subscribers. Thank you so much for supporting this channel and getting the information from it. I really love reading all the comments that say that you've learned something from this or that you've taken something away and it's made you change the way you think or want to play X-Wing, and it gives you a whole new light. Thank you so much for those posts and comments. They really mean a lot to me as someone who loves Star Wars and X-Wing. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like this video, share it with a friend, leave a comment if you would change anything, and subscribe to the channel. This place crawls, and remember to always check your 6.